Hello, film fans. Welcome to the Film vs. Film podcast. My name is Martin Harries, your host. I'm a filmmaker on occasion, but mainly can't stop yapping about movies. On this podcast, every episode, I pick a topic from a film that's coming out at the cinema or on streaming. I pick a favourite film from that topic and battle it out against a guest to decide which film would become the greatest film of all time. If you enjoy this podcast, please leave us a 5-star review and subscribe. Please enjoy part 2. Right, what is your film, Mr. Encyclopedia Man?
Mine is Logan.
Cool.
The last film in the Wolverine series of X-Men movies.
And Hugh Jackman's last performance?
Yes, yeah. Well, not last performance ever. He's still making films, thank God. But his last performance as the titular Wolverine, Logan.
He's like, yeah, after Logan, fuck it, I'm quitting acting.
I don't know, fuck this. I don't think he'll ever quit. Like, what is he? He makes so many films. Like, he's come out with one recently, hasn't he? I know literally nothing about.
Reminiscence. Yeah, which we will do an episode soon on Hugh Jackman films, so for that one. Why did you pick Logan?
Yeah, I picked Logan because, I thought it was a great film, so... I've always been a big fan of the X-Men, Marvel stuff in general, but even way before the MCU and stuff, the X-Men films were, I quite liked them. Well, to be honest, I only liked the first two, really, the first two were amazing.
Okay.
And then they kept making them, and, they were okay.
Well, you didn't like Days of Future Past?
Oh, man, I love Days of Future Past. I would say, like, X-Men 2 and Days of Future Past, to me, are, like, the best X-Men films. And all the others are like so-so.
Yeah.
One is really good. 2 and Days of Future Past are just my favourite. They're just timeless.
Yeah, definitely.
Just incredible film. And then the rest are like, some are shit and some are like, okay.
Meh.
Yeah. So it's a kind of... And then even when you go through the Wolverine films as well, the first solo X-Men Wolverine film, man, that was bad. And then the second one I liked, but, it was still not as good as like X-Men 2 and Days of Future Past for me. It was okay. It was pretty good. This one, I think, is on a whole nother level. I really like this one.
Was there any other films in consideration outside of X-Men? Or
really. There were quite a few. Dredd, obviously, we talked about that. I would have definitely picked Dredd. That's a great film. There was this film I was talking about before when I was talking to you a while back called Super, with Elliot Page now. And that film is absolutely ridiculous, but it's so much fun. And I think you would have liked it. So
cool.
And that is gory as fuck.
Is that James Gunn?
Let me just try and find out. You can edit out the search if you want. Yeah, it is. It's James Gunn. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Okay, yeah.
Cool.
So, actually, shit, I should have picked that because then it would have been a perfect fit for the Suicide Squad. I had no idea.
Come on.
It is a great film. You need to watch that. We'll watch it or whatever after this. It's just it's a mental movie. And then the end. If the end of Super is anything to go, if you're thinking about what the action is going to be like for, I hope it's going to be like Super, for the Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
That was messed up. The ending of Super, you're like, what the hell? Like it's such a funny, crazy film of these guys trying to be superheroes, but at the end it's like the realistic of like heads exploding, legs blowing off. Like holy fucking shit! Him beating someone to death with a spanner. Good God.
Yeah, isn't this like weapon a wrench or something?
His weapon is a wrench, and his phrase is "Shut up, crime."
Oh God!
It's such a ridiculous film. Anyway, so we should get beyond that because I'm not reviewing that movie. Logan, that's the one. I forgot which one I'm reviewing. Can I review both?
You can if you want, but
yeah.
So what happens in Logan?
I think this picks up a few years after Days of Future Past. After he's changed the timeline and all that stuff. And it was really positive then. The next couple of years later, it's not positive at all. It's like all the mutants are gone. There's only really him, Wolverine and Professor X and Caliban left. They live together. Wolverine is getting old. Like, he looks much, much older than his age. Considering he's like, the character is like 200 or something. But he looks like he's getting on. He's making money just getting by as a limo driver, His healing factor is failing. He's got Professor X to deal with, who's got like some sort of brain disease. So it's not looking very good for him right now. There are no more mutants. All the mutants are gone. They're all dead. So, it's kind of a bleak future for Logan. And then he is given a job because he's thinking about like leaving the country, but he needs a lot of money to do so. And this woman contacts him of like a courier job, like if he can take someone like this little girl to North Dakota, and she'll pay him thousands to do so. And, at first he kind of doesn't want to really do this, but he does eventually accept the job, and it becomes a lot more complicated than that. It turns out the little girl is basically his child. Like, they took some DNA of the bad guys, and they made all these mutants, and she's one of them. So she has all the powers of him. And so they go on a road trip to North Dakota while being chased by this nefarious mutant killing organization that is like raising these mutant children and what have you.
So what did you make of Logan then? I mean, I really love this film. I think I'm with you. It's one of my favorite X-Men films for sure. Mainly because it's so fucking emotional at the end. It's just like, it does make me very teary sometimes.
Yeah.
It certainly did when I rewatched it. It's really, really good.
Yeah, because you were even saying when you watched it, you were like, "Oh man, I nearly cried," and I just kept thinking because I haven't watched the film in a while. I was like, "You pussy," and then I watched it and I nearly cried several times. I'm like,
there you go.
Oh man, this is hard.
Because obviously we've watched this character for so long, since 2000. When the first film came out, X-Men. Right, directing then. I love the first action scene in the film where Logan is basically fucking up some Mexican thieves. And I love the shot where he's kind of losing and is on the ground and getting beaten up. And then a shotgun reloads and there's a great like push in on Hugh Jackman as he starts to get like really angry and just go, fuck it, and slices the guy's arm off. The shotgun goes flying and goes off. The scene is so brutal, and you get the tone right from the off that this X-Men film is going to be very different.
Absolutely.
Plus, I love the idea that one of the claws doesn't come out properly, and then later he has to pull it out. It's such a different film to all the other X-Men films.
Yeah, it's definitely kind of like the whole the Dark Knight Rises of X-Men films. It's like hero way past his prime. He's giving it another go.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do like that scene. One, because you get an immediate sense of just where everything is. The character, you know what he looks like. He's passed out drunk in the back of his limo, so you can tell just shit is not going well for Logan. You know what I mean? You've got a setup of basically everything, like his deteriorating health, his terrible mental condition, his job. The fact that he's a limo driver. And straight from the off, a fight scene where it's like, yeah, he's not in the best physical condition. And then you get the tone of the movie. Like, this is going to be violent. We have a character with claws. He is going to finally use them as God intended. Like, these aren't PG-13 claws. They're not going to just scratch people. He's going to take off limbs, take off heads, stab people in the skull. I thought that was a pretty cool shot.
Blood's going to go everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, because he basically asked them, he's like, what, you're taking my hubcaps, they're not worth very much. Just shoots him straight away.
You're just going to scrape all the paint off.
Yeah, he's like, what the hell? Yeah, that was pretty good.
It's just interesting mentally with the character because he's just more concerned about protecting the car than actually trying to stop them. Just hit me, not the car, please. I need this job.
Yeah. Well, I think, the old Wolverine would have immediately decapitated the whole lot of them. And it's just the fact that...
I'm not sure about decapitate, but,
Well, PG-13 kill. So, just go, ha! And then they all fall down dead. Fully formed. Their bodies are pristine. But do you know what I mean? Like, old Wolverine probably wouldn't have stood for this shit at all. Where young, you know what I mean. But now this old Wolverine, he's like, he just wants to be left alone. It's like, dude, I'm in no mood. Like, I'm just trying to get by. Just piss off, will you?
And I always find it in like 12 rated films, the directors are always very conscious of fight scenes, especially fights with knives that they have to like shoot around the impacts a little, and they have to use wider lenses or whatever. But because this is R-rated, they're really embracing what Logan and Laura can really do to another human being. You know, the first fight Laura has is amazing. There's like a shot where she literally kicks someone in the head with a claw from her foot, and it's right up close to the camera with blood everywhere. You know, the fights are really in your face, like we've never really seen before in an X-Men film.
Oh, yeah, definitely, yeah. Yeah, just, heads rolling all over the place, people getting stabbed in the neck and the throat.
Yeah. It's just like, James Mangold just doesn't feel like he has any limitations on what he can do. He can just do what he wants with these characters in terms of the violence,
Yeah.
What an R rating brings to this film as well is like a bigger sense of realism. If a guy's going to have claws come out of his hands and kill people, you're going to expect blood.
Yeah.
Plus, one of the other nice like realism moments I liked is if you're going to have a really slow car, you're not going to drive through a wire fence. Which was a nice and surprising thing to see.
Yeah. I really like that action scene. I thought that was cool. Because he tries to go straight through the fence and is like, no, it's stuck. And then I love that he's dragging it behind him, just taking out bikes and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like the most impromptu, badass, Yeah, that was pretty cool. It was a good casting.
Just a shame that CGI was a bit dodgy, though, in that bit. But it's a small thing. Mm-hmm. I love the second seizure scene in the casino where Charles is having a seizure and he's accidentally freezing every human in the area, but freezing mutants slightly as well. Because his mind is going, everything is shaking massively, and it's just a great representation of a character losing his mind. That's as powerful as Charles Xavier. I love the moment Logan is approaching one of the goons in the corridor, and the goon's eye just turns slightly to look at Logan. He's like, oh, shit.
Yeah. And Logan is dragging himself along with his claws. I love that. Just,
yeah.
I'm going to kill you. I swear to God, I'm going to kill you. You're the guy's wife. But I like that fight scene. I think that's probably my favourite. One, it's quite inventive. You have that power that Charles Xavier used in X-Men 2, where he's able to just freeze people in place. But he's freezing them whilst giving them a tremendous seizure, and everything's going around. And you have that happening to Logan, but he's forcing his way through it and just killing all these people. And I love how they stay in place. He stabs through one, and they're fixed in place like statues. Until they inject Charles, and then just everybody, literally everybody is killed, just drops. That was great.
Just falls.
That was awesome.
It's interesting how they created the look of that scene, because apparently the camera guys were shaking the camera a lot, and then they used stabilization software which usually smooths out the shots, but because they were shaking the camera so much, you get this effect. But they must have shake those cameras ridiculously violently, because the software these days is so good, it can really smooth it out really well. So I can imagine a lot of tired crew members on that set just shaking cameras all day.
Yeah. Or you attach the camera to a jackhammer and just move it everywhere. Just up the stairs.
That's a good idea.
The floor is fucked. Just get no shots of the floor. Everywhere else.
Yeah, always keep it high angle, people.
Yeah. We can't do another take. Have to,
No.
refloor the whole hotel.
Another scene I really liked was, I can't remember my first reaction whether I thought it was actually Logan or X-24 in this moment. I can't remember. But I felt it was quite convincing. I liked how with Charles' death was constructed, because he notices Logan come back, but he's kind of shadowy, and you don't see Logan's face, but you kind of dismiss it a little. And then Charles is saying that this night has been, the best night he's had in ages, because, they've had a family meal, they've had family hospitality, which has been amazing for him. And then he's saying he remembers what he did in Westchester, that he killed a lot of people, I guess, through the seizures. He's pouring his heart out to Logan, and you're like, hang on, we haven't had a reaction shot to Logan yet. That's quite strange. But when you do, it's a younger looking Logan with his head shaved. And before you know it, he's got his claws in Charles's chest, and you're like, what the fuck? Claws everywhere. And Charles is dying. You're like, no! It's just such a shocking moment. It just catches you by surprise so brilliantly. Could you tell it was X-24 or when the first time you saw it?
Probably not at first. I don't think so. I think maybe I kind of worked it out of it, pretty quickly because his shirt is black. So I think I clocked on something's not right here. But yeah, it's quite subtle.
Just like the way that scene was cut together and structured, really.
And it's really sad as well because Logan is when he picks Charles and X-24 is going mental on the cowboys, which was awesome. That was amazing. And he's like, it wasn't me, Charles, it wasn't me, and he's crying and shit. And I thought that was really like, oh shit, because you wouldn't want the last thing for basically his father figure to think that he killed him. It's just
You got a favorite shot then, or a scene?
Favorite scene, probably when Wolverine dies. Actually, that was pretty amazing. And I mean, favorite action scene, the hotel, like without a doubt. Although the action is pretty solid in a lot of the film. Actually, it's really well done.
I love the shot after Logan takes like the whole vial of the green liquid that enhances mutant powers, and there's a shot of Logan like running through the forest and takes out a load of goons so violently and so quickly.
Yeah, that was amazing.
And ends up like diving on one of them and then stabs him through the chest, and then cut to a close up of Logan like literally roaring his lungs out. And it's just like really satisfying to watch. Like, this is like insane Logan right now, insane Wolverine.
Yeah, that whole scene was pretty badass.
That was cool. And like X-23 like fighting with Logan.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome.
At the end,
that
was pretty cool.
Yeah. She jumps off of his back onto somebody. Yeah, that was pretty badass. Do you remember the bit where like X-24 just like decapitates that guy? Yeah. That was fucking awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Because basically he's hiding out with this family, and they had an altercation with these ranchers who are like basically bullying them.
Yeah.
And he embarrassed them, beat them up and stuff. And they come over to the guy's house, not knowing that all this shit's going down. And they're like to X-24, they think he's Logan. Well, why don't you work for us instead of him? We'll pay you more. We'll pay you $5,000 a day. And he is just expressionless, And then he just like takes his head clean off and then just goes through them. That was awesome.
Very bloody. So directing score for me, I think I'll go pretty high, to be honest. I think this is what like the film James Mangold really wanted to make, I feel like he had to get through the Wolverine, the Japanese one, to like prove himself to the producers maybe that, he can do it. Because there are some elements of like the Old Man Logan comics, but it's kind of very loosely based, I think.
Yeah.
Doesn't feel like James Mangold has any limitations on what he can do, certainly with the action, and focusing on like the Shane kind of themes and storyline was such a clever move. It works so well. And actually making the decision to actually kill Logan in this film was such a bold and brave move. Yeah, so just really well done. Again, and you have this very like realistic, grounded level to this film as well. I mean, you do get a lot of X-Men powers shown in this film, but it just feels very grounded and just really satisfying. So I'll go like 8.7. How about you, sir?
Yeah, no, I agree. I like the grounded nature of it. It feels pretty visceral. It's very atmospheric. I love the action in it. I like the camera work. I like kind of the quality of the images. Do you know what I mean? Like everything looks pristine. Looks really good. Like there's some bloody high quality cameras that they recorded this with. Like it just looks really good, which is good. I mean, it's just great. Everything looks like really well detailed. You can see everything. You can see every pore and every sweat droplet. It just looks great, and I really appreciate it.
Yeah, we should mention the makeup is like really amazing on Logan. Certainly towards the end, and as you said, everything like the details are so good that everything just feels really dirty and just really brilliant, just definitely. Really grounded and earthy.
Even like the more fantastical bits. I mean, I think you're right. There are some areas where you're like, maybe the CGI there needs a little more touching up. But it didn't look like it's not a CGI heavy film. It just seems like a lot of stunt work and a lot of like practical stuff, which I think is good.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, I quite liked it. Yeah, I might give it like a 9. I think it's like my favorite like X-Men.
Cool. Certainly my top three,
Yeah.
not in any particular order, is certainly Logan, X-Men 2, and Days of Future
Yeah,
Past.
100%. 100%. I agree with you 100%. I said this just before, but yeah, X-Men 2 and Days of Future Past are like the X-Men movies for me. This is like the Wolverine film for me, you know? So, yeah, I would say that's the trilogy.
Right, screenplay then. I really liked the info dump scene or exposition scene where Charles and Logan are watching the video message from Gabriella on her phone about Transigen, that they're creating new mutants for weapons. And it definitely feels like a found footage style, which just adds to the realism and adds an extra narrative that the footage was captured secretly. Plus the fact that the phone dies and they have to buy a charger to watch the rest, adds realism as well.
Yeah.
And a good way to make Logan watch the last bit on his own to convince him to go to Eden, with Laura and Charles. Just a really clever way to express exposition in a film like this.
I don't think he's paid for that charger. He just took that charger.
No. Oh yeah, he just took
it.
Yeah,
I thought that scene was quite funny. She's just taking stuff, and the guy is, the store clerk, tries to manhandle her because, you can't let a customer just walk away with shit. Let's find your dad. And she just flips him around and is going to stab him in the face. And then Logan's like, no, that's not okay. And he's like, where's your charges? Okay. Just grabs a bunch of shit and then just goes. You're like, oh, okay.
Well, because she's never been to a shop before.
No.
She doesn't know what the fuck a shop is.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
It's like, ooh, food. I'm having that.
Yeah.
I've got claws, so fuck you. And of course, we've mentioned it. It's no accident that the film they watch in the hotel room is the classic Western Shane, which starred Alan Ladd, a gunfighter drifter type character who can't ignore a bad situation even though he has no connection to the people, which is basically the same story here. There's a line you hear in Shane where he says, there's no living with a killing. You can't live a normal life as a killer. Once you start, there's no going back. And at the start of this film, Logan is really trying to live a normal life and earn money, but just can't help himself but get into a fight.
Well, despite how hard he really does try, I think when I like how they kind of juxtapose, again, I can't say that damn word. This is the second time I've tried to say it.
Juxtaposition.
Juxtaposition. Or juxtapose, yeah. So, but basically, the Wolverine of legend with how he is now, and, basically even what the Wolverine of legend was like, it's not great. I killed a lot of people. I'm in a bad way. I just kind of don't want to do this anymore. But his call to adventure, he ignores it for a while. He just doesn't want to get involved. And every time, basically, Charles and Laura kind of they keep trying to center Logan, because he just doesn't want to get involved. It's like, well, we've got to do this because, we've got to save it. It's like, I don't fucking care. Leave me alone. But he does do it.
Yeah, but he kind of subconsciously just helps them anyway.
Yeah.
He's just keeps saying no, but he does it anyway.
He'll do it anyway, yeah. He knows what the right thing to do is, but you can tell he's kind of maybe just a bit fed up of doing the right thing. Or maybe doesn't think he deserves to do the right thing or something. But
just going back to, there's no living with the killing line they use from Shane. They're having a family meal and experiencing family hospitality, but that family all end up dead.
Yeah.
But what was disappointing with the Shane footage, though, they do spoil the final gun battle in Shane, which is a bit off, a bit annoying, but there we go. Have you seen Shane? Well, it's spoiled for you now anyway.
Yeah, a long time ago.
Yeah, it's great. Classic Western. You should all go and see it.
It's a good film.
And, of course, near the end of the film, we learn that Logan has wanted to kill himself with the adamantium bullet, which you kind of get that sense anyway. But when Laura says to Logan, I've hurt people too, and then Logan says, you're going to have to learn how to live with that. And Laura says, they were bad people. And Logan just says, all the same. It's like Logan is saying, it doesn't matter who you kill, it all adds up emotionally, you're going to have to deal with it. Again, the same theme there as Shane, there's no living with the killing. It just certainly does feel like the X-Men version of Shane.
Yeah.
And I just love the fact that this film just has a very westerny feel to it as well. A lot of desert landscapes. they're on the road.
Yeah.
They're pretty much on their own. It's got a really nice western-y quality to this film.
Yeah, I would agree. Like a sort of neo-western vibe, like a lot of empty spaces, a lot of country people, and a lot of scenery, cattle, all that kind of shit. It just seems, very westerny. Even, like places where there are buildings, but really not many buildings. It just seems very old and rustic. So this is far into the future, but where they are, it's quite. It does seem like it's in the past. It kind of reminds me of like like No Country for Old Men, that sort of like neo-western vibe.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Again, like a very dark movie.
yeah, definitely.
I found Xander Rice's death like really satisfying, played by Richard E. Grant. Because in so many action films, like especially like spy movies, there's always a scene where the bad guy explains what his plan is going to be to the hero.
Yeah. Well, during the explanation, he gets up most of the explanation, and then Wolverine just blows his fucking head off like mid speech. To me, it reminded me of like The Incredibles, where they were complaining about how a villain monologues. Do you remember that bit where he throws something at Syndrome as he's monologuing? It just reminded me of that. It's like, villains are so stupid. They're so predictable. Get them to talk about themselves and then take them out.
And it feels like daft that the bad guy has to tell the hero what the plan is, but really he's telling it to the audience.
Yeah.
And in this, it's just like the film is just having fun with those types of scenes where Rice is just like halfway through his explanation. Then, as you said, Logan just doesn't care and just blows his head off. Brilliant. That was a good death.
I quite liked Pierce.
Boyd Holbrook.
For me, I think he's the villain of the piece. I know it's really, Richard E. Grant, who is amazing. I like Richard E. Grant and stuff like that. But I quite like Damian Pierce. I liked his character. I liked how he's written. He's written as this kind of...
Yeah.
He's like a fanboy of the X-Men, but is a villain. Yeah. And I just find that so funny. He's dripping with like sort of cool and kind of like weaseliness, like just a swarmy guy who dresses really cool, but you're like, this guy is weird. Like, he's always smiling like an evil grin, do you know what I mean? He's joking about everything. But I like how he's always sort of fanboying over the X-Men. I think that is kind of adorable.
Yeah. Yeah, big fan, by the way.
Like where he's like, as I live and breathe, the Wolverine. I read a lot about you. He's just, oh man, I can't believe it. You just think, it's kind of funny. It's kind of quite nice.
I love that scene where Laura is like approaching all the goons and and he's like, Laura, no, stop.
That was funny,
And then like everyone starts shooting them, and like one of the best lines I wanted to hear in previous X-Men films and Wolverine films, where he says, "Stop shooting, she heals."
I thought that was good.
That was so brilliant.
I thought he was a great character. I quite liked him. I thought he had a great chemistry with the heroes. They're being chased by this guy, but there's something just kind of endearing about him. He's like the comic nerd who's in the film. He's like, don't bother shooting at them. They're going to get back up, like he knows the characters. It's like he's done the research. He's kind of a nerd villain, and I quite like that. I thought it was kind of funny.
He's a fanboy villain.
He's basically a fanboy villain, yeah.
There's some funny lines in this, from Charles when you first see him. He says, "The new Quesalupa from the Taco Bell. Get it with chicken, get it with steak, and with cheese baked right into the shell. It's the next big thing. Go now while supplies last." A great advert there.
Yeah.
Caliban, played by Stephen Merchant, he has some great stuff. Like, I hardly see myself carrying below decks like Nosferatu.
Nosferatu? Jesus, is that like a flatulent Nosferatu? Nosferatu, not Nosferatu. Jesus Christ.
Same thing. It's a vampire, come on.
Yeah, but hopefully not with a good sense of smell. Nosferatu.
Yeah. Okay, I'll start that again.
No, keep it in.
I hardly see my...
Keep it in. People need to know.
I hardly see myself carrying below decks like Nosferatu. Do you? Folding your underpants and making him spotted dick by Caliban.
Yeah. Did you mean Nosferatu?
Nosferatu.
Yeah, it's Nosferatu.
Anyway.
Okay. I quite liked Steve Merchant at this. I thought he was pretty cool as Caliban. Satisfying, like self-sacrifice at the end. I like how he kind of threatens him because he's like allergic to sunlight, so they keep torturing him with sunlight. Price is like, didn't your mama always tell you, beware the light? And he's like torturing, and I like that where he grabs grenades. beware the light, and just blows up the whole fucking van.
Yeah. My favourite line comes from Caliban, where he says, "I'm a glorified truffle pig, not a clairvoyant."
Yeah, that was good.
Have you got a favourite line then?
Oh, you know where Rice is Damien Rice? No, that's a singer. Wrong
Just
Damien.
Pierce.
That's the one. Pierce, not Damien Rice. A cannonball. He's a great singer. Anyway, yeah. So Price, I like when he's beating on Wolverine with all of his men, and Price says to him, it was like, "Jesus, Wolverine, seeing you like this breaks my damn heart. It will as soon as I rip it out of your chest, fuckstick." I like that. That was quite funny.
Score for me, this is just like the perfect end for the Logan character, and I love all the references to Shane and the themes.
Yeah.
So it's certainly one of the most satisfying X-Men films for a while.
I like when, basically he's dying and he's like accepted that, Laura is his daughter. And I love that just line of, "This is what it feels like." And then he dies, because it's always about, Charles is like family, and all this shit. And, it's like, yeah, he got a family at the end. Then he died.
Yeah, just brilliant. Yeah. I mean, we were talking about, our top 3 X-Men films. I didn't put it in order, but I mean, I could easily put this at number 1, definitely, even though it is the last one. So I would go like 9.1 for script.
Yeah. I think the script is incredibly strong. It's just really well done. There's a lot of just... also, one thing I didn't mention, but Charles Xavier's depiction I thought was interesting because, like, in most of the other films, he's like, a sage, wise man, and he still is at parts in this film. But it takes on the very real reality. He's that old. His mind is starting to, fade, and he is like just...
Yeah.
And obviously, he's been living like crap for the last God knows how long. So he's a bit pissed off, and I do like having a thoroughly pissed off and annoyed Professor X who's just speaking his mind. He's old enough to just say what he really thinks. I like that. Where it's like, we're on the run. She's a child, and I'm fucking 90.
Oh god.
Yeah.
So you got an acting score for me then? Screenplay.
Screenplay. Yeah. I agree with you. I'll give it like a 9.2 or something. I think it's one of my favorite screenplays for the X-Men films.
All right, acting then. Yeah, you're talking about Patrick Stewart's performance as Charles Xavier in this. We're so used to seeing him as this very like assured, calming influence to other mutants with such a wise persona, but in this he's anything but. The first scene, in the abandoned water tank with Logan, Charles is suffering from dementia and he's shouting out this food advert with such abandon, and he's being really angry and sweary with Logan, and his voice is so weary. Such a different character. Brilliant performance by Patrick Stewart. But I think one of the best performances in this film is certainly Hugh Jackman himself. I mean, I love how he uses different types of like anger and grumpiness to play Logan and X-24. As X-24, it's like Wolverine we've seen before, this very aggressive, focused anger, controlled breathing. But as Logan, his anger looks more weary and he's tired. And that's not just done with the makeup, it's very much in his acting. His breathing is very heavy at times. And when he gets hurt, you really feel like these wounds are really hurting him even more than they usually do. Hugh gives him, a limp throughout the film too. And he just looks tired all the time.
Even him just kind of standing still and even looking intimidating, you feel like the weight of his body. It feels like he is trying to carry himself up. And I do like the acting of that. It's like, I've been at this a long time. I feel... like exhausted. Like, this is ridiculous. But I do like the fact that Hugh Jackman does it differently for X-24, who is, he's young, fit, nimble, focused. They do feel like different characters, and Logan is just it's like at the end of his rope. Really. Yeah.
It's kind of a weird feeling because he's basically playing the Wolverine we know as X-24, but as a villain.
Yeah. And
it's a bit like unnerving that this is basically the same character that we know. But obviously he doesn't say a word, but it's just like, it's a bit unnerving, really, that we've been supporting and cheering this type of character for all these other type of films.
Yeah.
And now this exactly the same persona is the villain. It's just like, wow, that's not easy.
yeah, definitely
to watch, But I love the moment from Hugh Jackman when he's just buried Charles and all he can say is, "It's got water," and again looks so emotional but so tired. You can really see him trying to find more words, but he just can't. Plus the scene where he's beating up the truck is quite funny, but as soon as he collapses, you're like, "Oh, Laura, go help him, quick." And again, we'll end by like talking about the last few scenes with Logan's death. I love Daphne Keane, who plays Laura X-23. Her and Hugh's performances are incredible in Logan's death scene. Daphne Keane is like so in the moment and so emotional when she's got like tears as well as snot running down her face. Did you notice that?
I didn't zoom in on the snot, to be honest with you, but I'll believe you.
There's definitely a bit of snot there.
Yeah.
Definitely committed.
Yeah. I think it was kind of my favourite part with her is, and also with Hugh Jackman, coincidentally, is when he's dying. I think he does a great "he is dying," phase where you're like, "Oh shit, you're dying," and she does like this great thing of like concern. I would say like the problem with her, but it's not really so much a problem. I think she's a great, she does a good job. Her character kind of irritated me a bit. I liked her,
Really?
Yeah, I think the reason why she irritated me is kind of a positive. I think it's the fact that it's like she hasn't interacted with people before, so she seems very antisocial and just kind of like a wall, do you know what I mean, and aggressive as fuck, and you kind of have that through most of the movie. She's quiet as hell, she's just moody and like grumpy and just doesn't know how to talk to people or interact with people. I think that makes sense, to be honest with you. I think she does a good job of portraying what that is.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, at the end, I do think that's a kind of resolution of that, because she does, when she starts speaking, and starts speaking a lot more, has some really good scenes with Hugh Jackman, almost exclusively, and then, has his death scene. And I think, the character sort of, it just felt like a progression of the character as one who's like...
I don't really have a problem with the fact that she's aggressive towards other people, because I think, she's basically been tortured as a child.
It makes sense in the plot. She is basically a test. Yeah. She's a guinea pig test subject her entire life. It makes 100% sense. I was saying at first I didn't really like her because she was just really sort of abrasive and just wouldn't really communicate.
Well, yeah. I didn't really have that sense.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying it makes sense, and I did like her towards the end. That's all I'm saying. I think she had a nice arc.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. All that stuff works for me. It makes sense. I think the only thing I would maybe put into question with her character is when she decides to actually talk.
Yeah, it does take a while. Yeah, you are well into the film before she utters a word.
Well, start of the third act, really, isn't it?
And I thought it was kind of funny because when she starts talking, Logan just looks at her. It's like, what the fuck? And like, you talk? Yeah. We've been traveling for 2,000 fucking miles and you talk? I like that.
Yeah, so I guess you just put into question, why is she deciding to talk now? Maybe she only really talked with Charles off screen, maybe, and she never felt comfortable talking to Logan, I don't know. And after Charles dies, then she decides to talk to him.
Yeah, I think it's probably
maybe, yeah. Did you tear up then at the end? What moment made you tear up?
Well, there's several, I would say Charles's death, burying Charles, Logan's death, burying Logan. I think those 4 points, they're nice beats, and they're quite sad.
Yeah.
Because I mean, not only in the context of the film, but like you've got how many films with these characters? Do you know what I mean?
I didn't actually tear up much when Charles dies because it's all so sudden. It happens so quickly, and you're just not prepared for it. With Logan, it's very much drawn out.
Yeah.
And you really feel it.
Yeah. I think what kind of got me with Charles is just basically as he's dying and just like Hugh's reaction to it, Wolverine's reaction to it, of just trying to console him and just be like, I'm sorry, and all that. I thought it was also a really cool thing because, the dad that took them in really does like them. And then his entire family gets killed by a clone of the guy he's been, keeping for the night. And I love how Wolverine is going to lose to X-24, and he comes out of fucking nowhere and just like rams into him with his car, and then comes out with his shotgun to blow away Logan, and then just kind of collapses dead. Yeah, that was a crazy scene. You're like, even when he's trying to do a good thing, like his past comes to haunt him and kills a bunch of innocent people.
I think the moment that made me tear up in Logan's death, when Logan says, "So this is what it feels like," and then Laura just says, "Daddy," you know, her saying that makes me tear up every time.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
When she's reciting the Shane monologue is amazing. You know, when she turns the cross to an X on Logan's grave is such an amazing touch there, and always makes me quite emotional when she does that. That's a great little bit. So for me, you know, favorite performance is really easy. Hugh Jackman, definitely, probably his best performance in an X-Men film by far.
Yeah,
by far. Same.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, I think Hugh Jackman is my top.
So score for me, you know what, like the acting in this is pretty exceptional. Even from Daphne Keane, I think she does an incredible job as well. Mm-hmm. Certainly with her emotional scenes at the end, I think for such a young actress, she matches Hugh Jackman, definitely. I would say Hugh Jackman, tour de force. Patrick Stewart goes through so much emotion as well, anger, immense sadness, you know, lunacy as well. As you said, Boyd Hilbrook is fucking brilliant as Pierce, this like great like fanboy villain.
I know. You don't get too many fanboy villains, and I just love his giddiness. I think, to me, that's what sells him as a good villain, is his giddiness at just seeing Wolverine, like acting in such a way like, oh my god, I know you. You know, I just like that. It's just a great characterization for a villain.
He's like, you know, I'm such a huge fan, but I got to do my job.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm going to go like 9.6, I think, for acting.
Yeah, no, that's pretty damn good score. Yeah, I think the acting is. I mean, the film is great, and the acting I think is it makes it just, you know, that much better. Yeah, maybe I'll go like 9.3.
Cool. Right, let's add up the scores then for Logan. It's a high one. Logan gets 54.9. That could scrape into the top 10. Find out on Tuesday. Logan wins this one fairly comfortably, I would say, with 54.9 to V for Vendetta, which got a score of 50.9. So no shame with a score like that for V for Vendetta. Still really good film. Right, next week, as Don't Breathe 2 is coming out in cinemas. Excited for that one. The first one was a really good horror film, blind guy, serial killer kind of thing. Really cool. So the sequel is coming out. So we'll be doing horror sequels for next week. So it'll be interesting to see what we pick. As always, Boaz, you were pretty remarkable today.
That's amazing. I was extraordinary. X-Men. X-Force.
Yes.
Activate.
Extraordinary.
Yes.
All right. See ya. Bye.
See ya.
That's it for part 2. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. Check out part 1 if you haven't done so already. But don't stop there. Get involved and tell me what your favourite films are relating to the episodes. Send us a DM or comment on Instagram and TikTok at Film vs. Film Podcast, for X at FVF_podcast. Plus, we are now on YouTube, so hit that like button and comment there. If you do, I'll give you a shout out on the next episode. Remember, please leave us a 5-star review and subscribe. Pod signing off.